The Imperial Magistrate reached a verdict. I have guilty or innocent. Spare me this mockery of justice.
Is it the Middle Eastern team that they fight early on in the, like, who are they going up against?
It's like a fake country. It seems like sort of like a Venezuela, like sort of like, like Central America, but it's like an island nation too. So.
Oh, I wonder if it's where Bane comes from.
Oh.
Is it Santa Prisca?
Well, sorry, what was he? What did you say again?
Is it Santa Prisca or?
No, I wouldn't recognize that one.
Right. Okay. Well, that's fun. I'm glad you liked it. I'm glad that it sticks to some of that, and good. I guess I hope they're all like that forever.
Me too, man. Yeah, nothing's worse than a superhero movie that takes itself too seriously. That's for sure.
As long as Gunn's on board, but I mean, he's a hot commodity right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Chris, you read Crossed.
I read Crossed. I was laid up, hurt my back, wanted to treat myself to a reminder that life can get much worse, because I had listened to your episode on it, and that was an Ennis book that I had not read yet, and so I fell in love with this particular monster. So we decided to emergency broadcast it, I guess.
Yeah, I think so. Because I'm curious about your take. Now, the difference is that you read volume 1 like Garth Ennis's and Jason Burrows' first go at this. The original Crossed maxi series. Whereas James and I had covered some later work from him returning to his own franchise.
Yeah, for this kind of three issue arc, not one shots, but like shorter, more contained stories in Badlands.
Yeah. Did you get around to any of those? Like, did you?
I did. I read the first story with Ian and the horrible scene of face writing.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. There's Garth does 2 more. Like, he's got the Fatal Englishman one that James and I read, and then he had one more, which is actually his version of the origin of Crossed. Like when did it first emerge? What were the sort of circumstances of it? In kind of a roundabout way. And I don't think he's been there since. So there's like 4 pure little moments. He doesn't own this either. I think this was creator owned. So, or not creator owned, work for hire. So I think like Avatar owns Crossed. And
that's fucking weird, because like it feels like such his baby.
Mm-hmm. Well, this one in particular feels like it. He didn't think it was ever going to happen again. I don't think. Like, maybe they had in mind that they could create a series out of this, but this ending is. You probably didn't need to read any other Crossed stories.
No, you don't. You can only cheapen it by not having Garth. I mean, I think I did. Is it true that Alan Moore did some?
The Crossed plus 100 or whatever. Yeah.
Okay, let's see that's I'd give that a whirl, but everyone else is just sort of like a jabroni kind of, keeping it.
I don't know.
Jamie Delano's
been great.
It gets sorry, you mean like the Jason Burrows stuff or just in general?
I mean, in general, it seems to be pretty consistent. Like, it seems like something that, like, I don't know, after Garth maybe kicked it off, seemed to sort of turn into like an unusual, like an unsung franchise. Like,
yeah, well, because you've got Jamie Delano.
There seems like there's like a following for sure.
Yeah, it's carried on. Until Avatar started like taking like a financial shit and everything froze on them. I don't think like this series came to an end. I think it's just kind of like on a hiatus.
They hit 100 issues, right? So that's not nothing.
Oh, I don't think did they hit it, because the Alan Moore thing is like not like 100, like not issue 100. Did they do Badlands up to issue 100?
I was looking at it, and like I was just trying to see if there's any other people out storylines I wanted to take on, and I felt like not really. But yeah, like it went up. because they just have like, I think you guys talked about this the other one, but there's kind of just a bunch of jobbers. Other than like, you know, sure, maybe that's good, but.
Oh no, it's not. No, it's just interesting that you'll get these like, I wouldn't say hacks. You know, like let's say like the best of the C team, kind of.
Yeah. Okay. Fair.
Yeah. And you know they're working in it, and they're trying to produce. Like I started reading. The reason I kept saying Delano over and over is because I started reading his story, and you know, and it's kind of. They're all trying to grapple with the themes that Garth lays down, you know. So like it's somewhat consistent, and then it's like everybody's just trying to be weird and super violent.
Well, yeah, I think after Horsecock, which was a lot to choke down.
No pun intended.
Come on. But I just think that like when you do these Garth, especially if you have to follow Garth, like Garth has a way of making a unique splatter moment unique to him. Like I can pick up a Garth book and be shocked, and after reading Preacher, that shouldn't happen. That should be impossible for anyone. But it's possible. He does it over and over again. But for other people, it just seems like they're trying to follow an act, and they just get crass or crude, or you know, they don't quite hit the marker the same way he does. It doesn't have that little zip of comedy, a little sprinkle of, you know, je ne, I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's a special character for that kind of stuff. But like you say, like once you've seen this kind of horror and you laid this kind of groundwork, I mean, the best way to change the story is the way that Garth did it in the other part that we read was to like really like rehash a different group of survivors and tell a completely different story. And take the, like in that one, I remember with the military guys, they took away the urgency that they were going to get killed by the cross. Mm-hmm. So then you can narrate a totally different story with a different feeling, and that's so clever.
But that is what they're doing in it. Like even the other authors, that's the only way that you do that. Like it becomes like an EC Comics sort of thing. Like Avatar is very much EC Comics of the 50s, but you know, like that's not fair because there was a lot more like I was going to say there was a lot more competency. There was a lot more artistic competency, probably in EC Comics, which is a slap in the face. But
ouch.
Yeah, like so the, you know, the other stories will just be like, you know, two twin women who are negotiating some sort of family shit while they're trying to survive, or you know, insert X circumstance while everybody's trying to survive. You just go from people to people. Yeah.
So like my question for you guys is, that I'd love to hear about is this even a clever idea? Now, I understandable that this is like like James, you felt like this is just like a kick in, like a kick sand at Kirkman's Walking Dead or whatever.
Yeah. Well, I'm not. But actually, that was someone else's. But
oh, sorry, my bad.
That's okay.
Who wrote The Walking Dead?
No. So what I'm saying, like, it wasn't my, like, I was just talking about a fella who said that it was kind of a response to The Walking Dead, and I didn't know what to think.
Yeah. But like, and I get that they've got their own extreme spin on it. Oh, they're the mutilations, the violence, the fact that they're like using body fluids like strategically to like advance themselves so that they spread more, and then they continue to like cannibalize each other, you know, when it's necessary to keep surviving. It's actually fucking horrific, and it's a terrible premise. But is it clever? Like, really?
I think it is, in the sense that okay, so if you look at it as a take on the zombie genre that just kind of blew up right around this time, it's really Garth's take on the crazies, which was like another, like Ramiro's alternate version of his own zombies myths, right? Like that people are just insane and depraved, murderous. And to give that to Garth and to let him tell his tale, like it's not clever in like a Neil Gaiman or like Alan Moore kind of way, but it's perfect for Garth, and it allows him to do some pretty amazing shit with the zombie genre.
I think what's especially, and I didn't know about the crazies, to be honest. The crossed would be they'd be another who gives a fuck if it wasn't for the fact that there was intelligence behind them, and like everybody, and while they're rule building or while they're thinking about it, like they're, these crazy monsters, it's just, you lose your humanity, but you don't lose your technology, or your cunning or anything like that. So they're blowing up fucking nuclear reactors and dropping people from airplanes and planning and tracking and that sort of thing. Like they have, it's personal. There's still something of identity in there. Anyway, that strikes me as much different than your stupid zombie.
And it's a slant too, because like zombies can be a take on consumerism or conformity or et cetera, but then this becomes a story about id and just sort of the human unconscious and like the sort of dark desires that lurk there, ultimately becomes like there's a lot in this about, it starts off like, remember YouTube? Like nobody believed that shit that was horrific on YouTube was real. Nobody had any investment in that. We were unshockable. And then like the guy comes in and throws down like just a fucking hip bone or whatever, like a spine. And there's like, I thought it was a movie. Somebody thought for sure. Then the guy goes on to murder, to infect the guy at the counter, who then comes with the butcher knife and all that shit. But yeah, it gets real from that point on.
Yeah, that was really, given the current situation that we're in, it was very chilling actually to have that first line. Like the very first line is "Remember YouTube," and just like fake. But I wondered if things have changed so much now because this was like 2010 or 2012.
Yeah, I think even a little earlier, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm seeing published April 2010. The problem isn't now that people go on YouTube and they think it's fake. The problem now is that people go on YouTube and they think it's real.
Yeah, it's true.
And I thought that was a chilling inversion. But nonetheless, it was still interesting to see that being the first thing brought up in a post-apocalyptic end of the world scenario. And I'm not even quite sure, like, what does it? We used to live in a virtual world, I guess is what he's saying. But everybody knew it was a virtual world, and everybody would say that it was fake, and you couldn't believe anything until suddenly, welcome to the nightmare of the real.
Yeah.
Yeah, they alluded to the fact that like nobody even reacted to the planet pissing blood or whatever, right?
Yeah. Climate change, nothing. One of the things I loved so much about this is just how human everyone's reactions are. And, when that guy first, he's talking about the bartender, the whatever coffee owner, comes out and like stabs somebody with a butcher knife and starts fucking the wound. Like, not that you see any of that, but he's like, the narrator's like, I was going to do something about it any second. Come on, legs. Come on, arms. Drag him off the guy. But he's just like, still can't do it. And that sort of paralysis. Like, yeah, that seems really... It's very understandable.
Yeah, well, particularly early on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Compared to Cindy's philosophy, which is just like, like keep moving, never stop moving. But that's built into her because of her, like, she like beat the shit out of her, killed like her abusive ex-husband who burned her ear and all that stuff, and she just kind of like learned to live on the run.
Yeah. I wanted to kind of talk about how Garth makes strategic use of children in these crossed stories.
Yeah.
Like two.
Jesus.
Yeah. But I think that, like, I'm not quite sure what my full thought is here, and I feel that there's two things connected, but I'll try to connect it later. so they're in hell, right? You know, and one of the ways that Garth wrings emotional, kind of resonance out of that setting and out of that circumstance, out of that survivalism, is through the introduction of children and through the evocation of their innocence. You know, that little boy, everybody loves him. She's maintaining him. He's got good manners. You know, through all of it, he's patient like a lamb. Until unfortunately he gets fucking caught, you know, and Garth.
Garth really treats you at that point.
Yeah. And then obviously killing those children, in order to lighten their load so they can survive and move on. Yeah.
That's pretty heavy.
Yeah, that whole third issue is like, wow.
Yeah.
Where they're just they come across these kids. This kindergarten teacher like kind of got them out of danger, but she's been teaching them to like eat humans and like killing humans for them and teaching them to kill in case she ever dies. And they just have to make a choice of like, you know, what are they gonna do? She's like, no, Cindy's like, no fucking way are these kids traveling with us? So they just decide to gun them all down.
Yeah, and it's sort of a purifying thing, though. You know, like this is not like these children aren't innocent any longer. We can't afford to let them. You know, they're either going to become crossed or might as well be crossed. You know, they might as well be the cannibalistic fuck faces that have been haunting us and destroying the world. I guess I think my full thought is that like this is sort of a reverse expulsion from paradise story, in the sense that, you know, like they start off in hell and then they're moving on, Adam and Eve, into you know, maybe a new Garden of Eden, which happens also to be a snow-capped mountain or whatever.
Yeah, that's a great reading. Yeah,
of
those final images.
Yeah, and it's the cross. I know Garth comments on it. You know, it's just a coincidence that they have a cross on their face, but it's not. You know, that's just an in-story sort of thing. But like Garth, like religion and Catholicism and sin, you know, basic questions of theological morality permeate these books, I think.
Yeah.
And that's very interesting. Like, because you know what? That's not in Preacher.
No, and it takes religion a little more seriously, I think, than he's ever done before, which is a really interesting thing. So there's that kid when they first kind of meet the other survival groups. There's the one kid who's just kind of freaking out, and he's like, you know, like the man on the radio said that you cross over if you aren't saved, and like, you know, this is hell. We're in hell now. Yeah. And then he like just blows his brains out, and like the main guy's like, you know, like I didn't even know the kid's name, and it surprised me how little I care. But like that guy brings up that theme. And then there's some really important moments later too when they find the journal of that there's the colonel or army whatever leader,
special forces guy.
Yeah, who like had to take these scientists out in the desert and like gun them all down after they shut down and crippled the reactors just in case they ever figure out how to, you know, cross and put them back online. And he's writing that. I love that when Slick. He's like, oh, my least favorite classic, and he starts reading the Bible, but it's just this guy's confession. But it is significant that this guy's like confession of, you know, like, I hope I was a good soldier, I hope I was a good husband, like is written into that Bible.
Mm-hmm.
And of course that final image of the priest, like who's like nailed onto the crucifix.
Oh yeah, that's such a beautiful scene. After he brings her back to bury her child, you know, as you know, and she washes her hand, like she confesses, you know, this is who I am, this is my story. Up until this point, she hadn't revealed herself. You know, she had remained emotionally distant and sort of a cipher. And it's also funny, you know, bet that came as a shock.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, character-wise, it's like that scene is like, there's so much to unpack in it, because she's really fighting for her nature. Like she's like, I've got like this sick feeling in my gut that like nothing means anything, and like all the things I did to protect my son meant nothing, and like humanity's on trial there, and it's in front of this figure of Christ who redeemed man, and like the irony just hangs over that scene.
Yeah, like that priest, just hanging over.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then at the end, she's like, I guess we got to cut him down. So, but
yeah,
like there's something, she's like amused, like there's something very dark playing across her. Like she forces herself to her better nature.
Yeah. Yeah, and then there's just silence, and you assume, and getting back to these are just all very human reactions.
Yeah.
Which I don't think we get in the other stories. The other stories are just Garth kind of wanting to tell the story of failure. This one didn't make it to Eden. This one became the Crossed, and this one similarly becomes the Crossed, and we are the Crossed. Where this first story, it seems actually a little bit more hopeful, surprisingly.
Yeah, absolutely it is.
How'd you guys like Don't Kick the Dog, Brett?
Oh, I fucking love that.
I was so fucking shocked.
Yeah, me too. It's so brutal, and like you completely understand it at the same time.
No, you were vouching for Slick there.
Yeah, I'm vouching for Slick. Brett was a prick, but I know, like obviously that's way over the top. But yeah, he kills his guy who travels with him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Guy's kicking the dog because he's after his food, and then just cold-blooded murders him, shot through the heart.
I think, and that's one of Ennis's strengths. Like that was a really great show, don't tell. We don't go into his mind in that moment. He was really pissing me off. I was thinking I was going to kill him. Boom, like Chris Claremont style. This is just action being character.
Yeah. And the other, like, the Garth thing about it is like the other character's reaction. Like he's amazing with character, and like just like they're kind of like, okay, it's over now. They accept it. They never talk about it again. Like that's fucked up. But like again, in that circumstance, understandable.
Yeah, because what are you going to do? What are you going to talk about? Like,
yeah,
everybody probably wanted to get rid of Brett. As useful as he was. Like, I guess his use ran out. But and then that's the moment when Stan/Slick starts to think like, okay, we're ceasing to be human at this point. And he concocts his idea of the redemptive quest, which you like I was saying, you don't really get that in later Garth stories in the Crossed universe. There's no redemptive quest. There's just a fucking pitiless failure. Yeah. So what did you I don't think we got, what's the helicopter take? Like, you got to it, Chris, and you'd never read it before. You liked it. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what my question is there.
You want to know what my eagle-eyed view of it is? Or?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. I don't know.
I got a hot take on this one. I feel like this might.
Oh, you've been holding back already.
Well, yeah, no, I just feel like this might be Garth's like best work in a way. And Peters is like signature, like defining work for sure. But this is maybe the most cohesive statement. Almost like in a weird way, maybe his most mature that I've read. Yeah,
I'm kind, I have a great, like, I'll read Crossed before Preacher any day of the week, and I'll read Crossed before I'll read The Boys any day of the week. Yeah, because he's just unleashed and covering all of his themes and all of the things, like even like, I want soldiers, I'll put some soldiers in the Crossed universe, whatever. I think the only other stuff that I like as much as this is his Punisher work.
I was gonna say his Punisher, like, weirdly enough, stands up as like, similar in the way that it confronts darkness.
But is also funny and has fantastic art and a character that just like propels everything forward and allows Garth to do everything that he likes to do.
Yeah.
I think that goes a long way.
And it's that working maybe in the war mode or like the Western that he really seems to shine in.
Yeah, the war story was particularly good in this, but I also like the way that he like this one had something the other ones didn't a little bit, where he like characterized the bad guys, like the Cross. They were like individual creatures. It was like Hellraiser kind of, like there was Horsecock.
That's true.
There was the weird old man with the skin face with his balls hanging out.
Face.
There was the like the gimp that would just with the
special
thing
powers. Yeah.
That he would carry around.
Yeah, and they just carved off his legs and his arms and shit.
Yeah, and then it was like a cast of like grotesquerie characters that were like they were like tracking them for hundreds of miles. It was awesome. And then and then he layers it up with like the kid scenario, and then layers again with the half mad cop. There was so much discomfort and terror coming from all angles.
I forgot about that cop.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And that idea.
Yeah, that was great.
I got one in the back seat.
Yeah.
Oh, I did have a complaint. I had a complaint about this work. Sorry. I had one complaint. Sometimes it wasn't clear when you were jumping around in time, and I got confused 2 times.
Correct. I had that happen to me too.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait a sec, I'm in the past and now I'm back. I was like, fuck, what?
Yeah, I don't.
There seemed to be
think,
like no transition to when I went into the past.
Yeah, and it wasn't clearly delineated like visually enough. Like it all looked like the same fucking hellscape. So it past and present, who knows, right?
It's funny. I think in one of the issues we read before they did that, but they transitioned with like a color wash, so you were sure of what was happening.
Yeah, that was the Black Summer.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
Oh, Black Summer did that. Yeah.
Anyway, it's not a big deal. It is a blemish on an otherwise perfect work.
Yeah.
Kind of a big deal, but
going back to that idea of the individual, crossed, like that overall idea of like maybe they're evolving. Maybe Horsecock is like the idea is that they have no impulse control. But like this guy is able to, like, it's terrifying, that scene where they're attacking Thomas and Kelly, and they kill. Kittredge kind of makes a stand, and he's gonna try to stop them, delay them, and they come after him and they cut off his arm, and then Horse Face is gonna rape him, and then Horsecock's like, no, don't do it, no time. But it's not like don't do it. It's like, that would be fine if we had
some
time
restraint.
for it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He has restraint, and like that idea that like maybe as they're observing them, like I don't like that they have a sense of humor. I don't like that they can think. Like and that it really is kind of a scary threat that maybe they'll get one up on and create a society, which is kind of where Horsecock's taken them.
And interestingly, that's kind of what Alan Moore's eventual take is, because it's like crossed 100 years in the future.
Oh shit, that's interesting. I gotta read that.
Yeah. It's it's Alan Moore, so it's good.
Yeah.
It's he's got the right angle on it. He's not gonna try to do Garth. That's why is he gonna bother to do that? He's Garth's Garth.
Yeah, there was a couple of times they talked about, that was one of the things that I mentioned earlier when they talked about the breeding. Like that they would just rape people and let them turn.
Right.
They needed to like incorporate them. And then when they were all, I can't believe I'm going to talk about this, but they're huddled around jerking off into that bowl of bullets.
That bowl.
Oh god, yeah.
And then that guy on the hill's like, they're playing biscuit.
Yeah, but that's,
if you know, you know, right?
Yeah. But it's such a weird transition, because like it's a comedic moment. Oh, look at those gremlins over there. Look at those goofy guys. What are they doing? They're just fucking jerking off into onto a biscuit, and then you see like they're doing it to a bowl, and then they were like, oh yeah, that guy behind us got shot, and he's like, I smell cunt, and you're like, Jesus Christ, it just, that's a weird scene, and ability to draw tension and like a twist out of that moment, and a real sick fucking mind.
Oh man, like I don't even know how he went there, but he did.
Yeah. And the added twist of Kelly being blind, or she's never helpless, but they're like, run to my voice, like that's all she can do in that moment, because like she's really fucking exposed at that time.
Right. And the way she gets, like, I honestly started shopping for survival gear after reading this fucking comic. I was like, I got to get one of them fucking backpacks for my family and me. How much is that going to cost? Because like when that nuclear bomb goes off, like it's not even a nuclear bomb, it's just like the reactor erupts, and that's like page 5 of this thing, and it's that white flash, and the arrival of the Crossed is also the arrival of nuclear war. It really evokes all of the post-apocalyptic elements, kind of like The Stand or something. I'd hate to compare it to The Stand, but it kind of felt like that, or like that feeling of just being.
It really did, yeah.
Yeah.
The save versus the damned or whatever sort of thing. Well, not a save is not the right word, but yeah, good and evil.
So, back to the Kirkman thing. If you were to like pretend that Garth was talking to Kirkman, through this work, and I don't have a thesis on this, I got nothing, but I'm just curious. Like did you see a relationship between the two things?
I don't buy it at all, because it starts from such a different.
Really.
Like, yeah, it's that premise. Like it's the difference between, again, the Crazies versus the Walking Dead. They're two different types of creatures, and so the crisis is going to evolve differently.
If he's saying anything, maybe it's that the same thing he says to everybody else with his work is that your themes and handling your characters are soft. To what he can deliver.
I'll show you how to do it right. Here it is.
Think that was a moment of horror? Try this.
Yeah.
I've read every issue of Walking Dead. It's plenty horrific and good, but I honestly don't even know if Garth would read something like that, or even consider it.
Well, I don't think he'd read it and take it personally, and I also don't think he would draw any influence from it. I don't think there's really any influence to draw from it. It's fairly standard, but it just has it's got some clever characterization and some I mean some really elaborate twists that he was able to really lengthen across a big body of work. But other than that, I mean, it's a zombie story. I don't know that there's anything remarkable. There's a couple remarkable things about it, I guess, but
I only got as far as I think I read 75 issues of it. We're talking about The Walking Dead, right?
Yeah.
And I did read that issue where that guy got fucking brained. I think it was 100.
Glenn,
yeah, absolutely. Yep.
I was like, that's gross. That's amazing.
The introduction of Negan, and then the introduction of those Skinwalker people.
Yep.
Later, where you layer the horror on top of the horror, and the idea of how these groups evolved separately that's horrific and bizarre and unique. I think prior to that it was kind of.
I remember I didn't get past Negan, so I don't know about the skin, whatever they are. Chris, how did it end?
How did Walking Dead end?
Yeah, it ended 163 or something like that, right? Some weird number. He was just like, I'm done.
Don't want to randomly spoil that too.
This happened years ago.
Yeah, skip ahead 30 seconds or a minute if you're concerned about this. But Rick dies, and it's brilliant actually. I love the ending, and Rick dies. They flash forward a few years, and then Carl's all grown up, and it's sort of him dealing with the fact that people are getting soft again. because they've created some stability. But it was really well done.
Mm. Did it reveal how the Walking Dead came about?
No, never.
Oh, okay, all right, good.
Yeah, that would be a mistake. Yeah.
Sorry, I just remember reading some headlines or something like that. I have a vague recollection of like some sort of idea that they gave an explanatory element to it. That's weird. Well, not weird and understandable, but you know, in his letter columns early on, he was like, "I'm going up to issue 300 with this. I could do this forever."
He intended to, and then he explained, like he did a big like farewell at the end of that issue and just explained, you know, why he did what he did, and it made a lot of sense. But
well, he doesn't owe anybody anything.
No.
I mean, like what you wrote 10 years ago about how you like your plans, like, you know, shit changes.
Yeah.
I guess the big lesson is don't write something like that.
Well, I mean, it was great the whole way through. I was a fan.
Oh, no, sorry. I meant don't write something like, I'm going to do 300 issues.
Don't project yourself 10 years down the line. Yeah.
That's the lesson to be learned here, I think. Because fucking maybe the Crossed is going to show up. Right?
Yeah, that's right.
Jeez.
For all that we've talked about the horrors of this, like that, what do you guys think of that issue 5? I think where there's like no violence or anything at all, where they're crossing the Rockies.
Oh fuck! I'll put it in front of my face here.
I like that. I like those kind of spots. Like, I mean, like I feel like the Crossed can get like, which I feel like happens every time Garth basically stops writing for a couple issues, is that like, splatter scene, giant Medusa dick face woman, though I think that was Garth, but but like I just mean like sometimes I think the Cross stuff can get lost in the splatter, you know. So like having a break and taking your characterization, taking your story in the helicopter and stuff, and just like having those, it just sort of breaks up the horsecock shock.
Yeah.
Exactly. So like when it comes back on scene, or when you run over a fucking woman from behind and just grind her into the ground while she's fucking screaming obscenities.
Oh my God,
I was just like, Jesus, I'm coming. I was like, fuck me, like, you know what I mean? Like when you get like
that's
some clear pages of sorry.
Oh no, that's the moment when I knew I had to buy the book. Like I started reading it digitally, and I got to that page and I started laughing out loud, and I was like, I said it out loud, "You're a fucking beauty," and then I turned it off.
Oh yeah, she's got the note in the back. She's like, "Thank you, Tommy, for doing it to me." Like, that's fucking horrible.
It's like, Jesus, Ennis, you magnificent bastard. So
yeah,
I ordered it like right at that moment. I was like, gotta got that.
Time to add this baby to the collection.
Yeah. Sorry, James. I cut you off. Just No,
I was just saying, like, I just feel like those issues, like even a full issue or X amount of pages with like a break with like characterization and like conversation about what they're gonna do next, or like even fleshing out the background of what these fucking monsters are kind of doing, just to sort of let it loom in your mind, and then popping off those like shock moments. That's the classic. That's the way to do it.
It's a much needed break, and like there's just some great character moments with that too. Like you find out Thomas is gay, they have that conversation, and then they see the wolves, which is like beautiful, and it's symbolic too. Like it's the wolf pack, like they're savage, but they stick together. They're not cruel. They're like, that's kind of like, I guess, the best that they can hope to be.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Wow. Yeah, man, you're right. And it's all white, you know, and it gets back to this notion of like what does a sinless life look like in hell? It looks like the silver wolf pack. That's interesting. That's fucking cool.
Yeah. She takes her kid up there, like, you know, I never get to show him anything. Like, it's always just survive. It's cool.
Yeah.
And then go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I love how like every, like, for all of the horror that like in this, like every character has dignity. Even like Kittrick, who's like fucking basically a shell of a human, like just walking there, walking and crying most of the time. And they even have that conversation where they're like, like which, I don't think Kittrick wants to live. Like, do you think we should eat him later? Like, I don't know if I'd eat that guy. Like, they're just like, they're fucking cruel. But then he, like you find out his story, and his family is like just murdered in front of him, and he has those moments where he just kind of springs to life and like is critical. When the cross radio that they have her son, he gets on like, yeah, put him on, you fuckers, and like, yeah, he's got these great scenes.
Well, he's been simmering rage that whole time, like,
yeah,
and that's extremely human as well. Like, rage doesn't always look like rage.
Yeah,
sometimes it looks like depression.
Yeah. Oh shit! What about Jeff, guys?
Oh, which one? Sorry,
just the old man.
Yeah, okay. We got to talk about Joel as well.
Yeah.
Which one was Jeff? The fucking guy that went and buried the homeowners or whatever?
Yes. Yeah. He's like always like the most compassionate one, buried the homeowners, but then he like confesses that he's like, I used to like to go out and I would pick up young men. Like, I was like, yes, I know where this is going, and I'd take them home and I'd torture them until they died.
Just feels that he can, like, and everybody's shocked, and like that's such a. On the one hand, that's super stupid, but it's also it's hilarious, but kind of like a morally defining line, because they kind of just decide that they're going to kill this guy. They're like, exactly. No, fuck, we're not keeping you.
Yeah, Kittredge just like walks him out like a dog and like comes back, and he's never seen again.
Yeah.
But he had like nursed, like they cross the mountains, and they're like, they both have the flu, and like they share body heat, and like Jeff nurses Kittredge back to health, and it's like all like there's all that weighing over it too.
Yeah.
Like there's weird dignity to everybody in this.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what makes you like. That's what makes you fear for your characters too, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, it. Oh, sorry, I just saw a spider fucking. Whoa, that dude got a bug real good. Anyway, it goes back to Ennis's just like grasp of character and like how to make you feel something. Like this is a remarkable achievement to like be so like this book's trash, but it's like elevated trash. It's like the best trash you could ever fucking read. And like with real characters and real pathos and real like human moments and responses to just the most fucked up shit.
I don't think I'm ever gonna forget Thomas's like final lines when he's turning and he's like running Kelly off the cliff because that's their only out, and he's like, it's like a venom but you want more, and they just like jump off the cliff together. Fucking crazy.
Yeah. Fuck. I'm just gonna ham fist this in. I really love the Joel scene when he's like salt.
Yeah.
Salt.
The
salt.
Yeah.
It's what kills them.
Yeah.
He's like, you've been playing too much Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. And they're like,
you're fantasizing that you're gonna get some kind of power revenge. The scene with his family, that was phenomenal. That was
awful.
It is, but it's also hilarious. Like she's being raped, he's being raped, his guts are ripped out, the child is being torn apart. She's like, you did this to us. Fuck. I wish I had put it in front of us. But that's like it's awful. And really disturbing to look at, but it's not the true horror that we're going to get later because he makes it funny. He's waiting. It's just kind of it's like James. It's the splatter moment. He's like, well, we're gonna have a funny splatter moment here, and that'll be the end of the episode.
Yeah. It's like I'm gonna make Deliverance look like something you give to kindergartners. That's the tone I'm setting. But because he does that, like you are like. It hangs over the entire book again. It's like anything could happen, and like nothing that horrific happens again. I mean, like horrific shit happens, but like nothing quite to that excess. But it doesn't matter because you're just like,
this is a 2-page spread. This is fucking sick.
Splash page.
Oh
like,
man, and there was a lot going on in that picture.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, just wanted to talk about Joel and his fucking. He was I think it's also like that's Garth's contempt for the comics industry and for nerd culture. You know, like people who don't read westerns and
you're right.
war stories. Yeah. You know, like. This is the kind of fuck. This is that fuck who really liked superheroes, and he's survived. You know, he's got no fucking social skills. He doesn't have a means of. He's still in a virtual reality. I think he never went to the desert of the real. So he gets left behind.
Yeah, that's a great reading of that scene. Yeah, because it is that nerd culture thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Garth doesn't care for that. You know, he participates in it. He's like, it's how he makes his money, for all intents and purposes. You know, but he doesn't care for it and makes fun of it and savages it any chances he gets. See the boys.
Absolutely.
True. Anyway, so do we want to rate Suicide Squad? What do we?
Suicide Squad.
What do we think about that? No. Yeah, I don't know. I don't. Chris, you know, Crossed.
I would give this. Is it 10 a rookie score? Is that, or should I go like 9.97? I give it a 10.
That's better. That's
all
better.
Right, 9.97 then. No, honestly, like I said, I really think that this is like the perfection of Garth in a weird way. Like, this is just perfectly suited to him. It might not be his most ambitious work. It definitely isn't. And I struggle with the idea of giving 10s too, like we talked about. But I think a 10 could be just like a top of the genre sort of thing. Like, nothing's better than this in the post-apocalyptic zombie sort of thing. Like 28 Days Later, on the same level. The game The Last of Us. Those would be the top three things I could think of that would, I'd give. Well, maybe not. I may not give this to people off the cuff, but it's just great.
Yeah, we were talking. Did you hear the episode where James and I did the other cross?
I didn't get to the end of that because I wanted
to. It's funny because you said that, because we said that same thing was that, like, it's not necessarily something I'd be like, highly recommend this. You need to put your eyes on Horsecock and the Raping Boys. Like, it's not like you have to have a special kind of friend to recommend this bad boy to.
Yeah, or layers of warnings and
yeah, or like maybe like ease them in with something soft like Sin City or
yeah, exactly. I think the great thing about Garth is that, like, he loves humanity as much as he hates it, and that really comes through in this particular story.
That's fair, yeah, because he's not he's a misanthrope, but he's a hopeful one.
Yeah, he likes people, I think, but like hates humanity.
Yeah. That's probably a good way of putting it, because I don't think he writes a lot. Even Preacher is not a nihilistic story. Like when the Saint of Killers sits down on God's throne, that's easily my favorite moment of the ending of Preacher. And it's kind of, it's like there's no God, but there is the Saint of Killers, and that's kind of his universe. Anyway, so yeah, I love these books. I fucking love Crossed. I love Garth Ennis's shit when he's doing stuff for Avatar. He's got a bunch of stuff for Avatar.
What are you gonna hang on it?
Oh, I don't know, like 9. Because I got a little fucking turned around twice, and that's kind of a downer. But otherwise, yeah, like again, I just wouldn't hand it to any old person, but I would expect. Yeah, I don't know. It's good. It's great.
Yeah, I'm kind of in there too. I think I'm like more of an 8 for this book. I like the other ones better.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, like, I guess if I'm gonna I'd give it a 9 or a 10 for sure if I was doing like the whole body.
Yeah.
I think here, but
I think that's actually what I was doing just now. Yeah, I think I did like the other ones better than this one. I thought this was an interesting opening act and a much more coherent sort of vision, and it felt more like it was Ennis's kind of sweet spot. But I did prefer the other stories. Well, not just that 3-parter. Across Badlands 1 through 3.
Yeah, I love that one. Love that one. I think this one too is it's sort of hobbled a little bit too by the idea that it's the origin story of the cross, right? It's so I need my obligatory explanation as to what's going on, explanation as to what the creatures are capable of, and then like I'm not established in the world yet, you know. So I have to go through that sort of like that warm up phase, and I don't know why, but I always find it like tedious, I guess, even if it's a unique story.
That's fair. Maybe that's going on for me as well. But anyway, it's top notch. You know, like whatever number we attach to it, like this is top notch work. This is part of our canon of works, right?
Yeah, tell your friends.
Yeah.
This is the treat yourself to. It's funny. One of my friends dropped by today with his kids, and I was telling him about that we were going to review Crossed, and he sampled just a few images from the internet and a sort of a general like WikiHow, like a sort of like a synopsis sort of deal.
Yeah.
And he was just fucking outraged. It's like, oh my god, who came up with this? Little much, but
yeah.
But that'd be the general feeling of it, I guess, probably for anybody.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I think even the beauty of it is like even we feel that way, and we're well into Garth at this point, like, but I think it's kind of full circle. Like it's surprising that he can still surprise. And this is
Jason Burrows is terrifying.
As a human?
Yeah, just like how does he do that? I've read some interviews with him. He seems nice, like he when he was talking about doing Providence, he was like, it was like going to art school again. It was like going to college. And it fucking really kicked the shit out of him. I think because he can turn this off. He chooses to be this good for these works, because it's like Garth's here. It's time to put on my A game. Yeah.
Warren's here. I'm working with Alan. And then he gets on other properties, and it's kind of he's showing up.
He's gotta send him like fucking screenshots of this stuff, and they have to just crack up on the phone together.
Oh fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder what their working relationship was. I wonder how closely, or whether it was like Garth just gave it to him and like.
If you were writing this though, and somebody rendered it this way, wouldn't you just be fucking jumping up and down, like laughing?
Thrilled.
This is
Yeah.
fantastic. I'd be in tears.
No, and they've done a lot of work together throughout Avatar. That's. Yeah, so they had a good relationship at this point, and so I think it's kind of like the Preacher thing where they were like, all right, we're fucking at all cylinders here, let's go.
Do you say fucking on all cylinders?
That's right.
That's
That's
perfect.
right. That's right. That's not. I don't think that's what I meant to say, but maybe that's what I said. Yeah.
It's beautiful.
That's what happened. Yeah. Well, I guess that's the end of the episode, huh?
Now, all we need is a little energon and a lot of luck.